I now want to shift focus to the other big story and bring in Shiv Arur once again. After Philippines bought the Brahmos supersonic cruise missile for close to $375 million earlier this year, January 2023, both Vietnam and Indonesia have shown interest in this extremely versatile supersonic cruise missile. Philippines had bought the shore-based version of the anti-ship missile. India has ship-launched, air-launched and mobile launcher version of this precision strike supersonic cruise missile. But this is not just about India's arms sales. Those countries that are showing interest in these missiles are also facing an increasingly expansionist China.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
It's one of the world's most formidable anti-ship weapons, the supersonic Brahmos cruise missile, and it's made exclusively in India. And now, over a year after India opened its export book with a supply deal to the Philippines, more Southeast Asian countries threatened by Chinese aggression are lining up for the Brahmos missile system. India today has learnt that two more major nations, Vietnam and Indonesia, are very close to finalizing orders for this weapon. Both Indonesia and Vietnam have extensive coastlines and face security challenges in the Indian Ocean and South China Sea, where there are territorial disputes with China. The Brahmos missile's long-range and anti-ship capabilities can bolster maritime defenses of Vietnam and Indonesia and deter any aggressive actions in their territorial waters. Vietnam, as a neighboring country, is wary of China's expanding influence and power projection activities in the region. The Brahmos missile, with its ability to strike targets from long ranges, can act as a deterrent against any potential aggression or encroachment by China in the South China Sea. The Brahmos is in service with all three Indian armed forces as of now, with the Indian Army in the land-launched configuration, with the Air Force in the air-launched configuration from Su-30 fighters, and with the Indian Navy in a ship-launched version, as well as shore-based coastal defense variants that target ships at sea. This last version is the one that both Indonesia and Vietnam are now interested in acquiring. Vietnam's defense minister will be visiting India later this month and is likely to discuss and firm up the deal with his Indian counterpart, though an actual announcement may only come later. For Indian defense industry and the export push, two more nations acquiring the Brahmos will be a major boost, not just financially, but in terms of India's strategic partnerships in the Asia-Pacific in the shadow of an aggressive China. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me once again bring into this conversation my colleague Shiv Arur and Admiral Sinha. Admiral Sinha, the Brahmos supersonic cruise missiles are part of India's missile success stories. But the fact that despite China frowning, Philippines has already bought it, Vietnam and Indonesia are showing interest in it. What do you make of this? Are democracies along the region coming together to checkmate China?
I think there are two very clear messages, Gaurav. One is the confidence in this weapon by virtually all countries. And second is that the cost of missile, it suits the pocket of even the smaller countries. Now, if you look at both Vietnam and Philippines and Indonesia and sort of Vietnam, they all have territorial disputes in the South China Sea, and they are almost at the distances that the Brahmos missile can go and hit. And therefore, I would think that even without having to take this missile to sea, they should be able to prevent any occupation by their adversaries in the South China Sea on those Paracel Islands or the other islands which are under dispute. So I think there are two things very clear, that India's ability to make these missiles in the cost which is affordable by these countries,
yes,
number one. And secondly, the confidence that it has generated that, oh, we don't have to go to sea, we can actually fire from shore
Yes.
and still protect our islands. So I think this is extremely important. And you mentioned that democracies, yes, but Vietnam, as you know, that is a single party rule, is
Yes.
really hardly a democracy. But Philippines, yes, Indonesia is. So
Let
whereas
me
in Indonesia has got very good equation with China, but their own defense they will not compromise. That is for sure.